Hello and welcome to the Final Fantasy XIV Travelogue, Volume 1, The Moonfire Faire and You. Let's start with an overview of what I plan to discuss here today. In this episode, we will be taking an in-depth look at the Moonfire Faire. Specifically, we will take a look at the activities we have enjoyed previously in the Moonfire Faire, as well as going over the rewards that were in past iterations of the event. As for what won't be covered, well, we won't be going over content from the 1.0 version of 14. We don't really talk about 1.0. That said, you also won't find any advice on making a wonderfully fashion-conscious ensemble, as that is, sadly, outside the scope of this video. And with all of that out of the way, let's begin. The first Moonfire Faire of A Realm Reborn took place on September 9th, 2013, a mere 2 weeks after the game's official relaunch on August 27th. This incarnation of the event was a fairly simple affair, as there was no actual questline for it. It consisted of a combat-based open-world scenario referred to as a Fate, a full active time event, that when completed rewarded a token item called Wet Bomber Dash. This token was then exchanged at a vendor in one of the 3 major city-states for your choice of swimwear. This would become the basis for many seasonal events moving forward. And that was pretty much it, aside from getting more tokens to exchange for more rewards. Now, I have to say, they sure gave us a chance to get a lot of swimwear. If we look at the male and female outfits separately, that gives us a total of 7, yes, count them, 7 different sets of swimsuits for your preferred gender. The first time you purchased one of these summer evening, summer morning, or striped summer pieces, it unlocked an achievement signaling your proper completion of the event, which also provided a unique title, Cascadia Reborn, that you can display alongside your name. Moving on to 2014, the Moonfire Faire returned on August 14th, hereby beginning its long-standing tradition of starting in August. This is also the first Moonfire Faire to include a short quest chain, revolving around assisting the event organizers with making the event one to remember. After completing a series of 3 different repeatable activities and a short fetch quest, you're able to bring the event questline to a close, thereby completing the event itself. We had a number of new rewards available this time, including a big ticket item in the form of a new emote, the Bomb Dance. This year, we were given a fairly wide selection of gear to collect, not unlike the previous year. Each gender was given a series of yukatas and associated gear like undergarments and clogs. In fact, all of these swimsuits from the 2013 event were available in case you missed out. There was also a selection of new Moonfire Faire themed housing items to top off the list as well. As a small aside before we continue onward, I just wanted to draw a little more attention to the Moonfire Faire event posts that are published on the Lodestone, the official website for Final Fantasy XIV. For 2013 and 2014, both posts actually featured a short write-up in them about the event itself, as if it were written in a news publication by an in-game character. After 2014, this would no longer be the case, as those short write-ups were no longer added. In 2015, as an added bonus going forward, if you participated in the questline for a previous Moonfire Faire, certain NPCs running the event will actually recognize you. This doesn't change the questline in any way, beyond some incidental dialogue with them, but it is a nice touch nonetheless. This time, the Moonfire Faire was based out of the area around Costa del Sol in Lenosha, and is where it would be hosted in subsequent years. Once again, there was a quest chain revolving around assisting the organizers, which required you to collect tokens to complete it. We were given 3 different options for token acquisition: combat in a Fate, crafting as a culinarian, or through fishing. Once you had 7 tokens, you could round out the event with some quest dialogue. Any extra tokens you happened upon could also be traded for additional rewards at the fair vendor. This time, we saw a marked decrease in the amount of new gear items added to the Moonfire Faire, a trend that would become rather common going forward. There were only 2 new chest pieces and 1 new leg piece available for each gender, as well as only 1 new housing item. The gear pieces from both the 2013 and 2014 events were available for purchase once again, however, the gear that was obtained from the 2014 questline was not. Now, something I hadn't mentioned previously is that in both 2014 and 2015, the Moonfire Faire's duration actually overlapped with another seasonal event, the Rising. In those 2 years, although the Rising started later, both events would end at the same time in September. From 2016 onwards, the Moonfire Faire would end as the Rising began, reducing the duration of the Moonfire Faire from 3 to 4 weeks down to 2 to 3 weeks. 2016 took things in a slightly more comical approach than before with the introduction of the Go-Go Posing Rangers. The event largely centered around completing repeatable quests to aid the Rangers in their training and being rewarded with tokens for your efforts. Once you completed each of the repeatable quests, you were then sent to aid the Rangers in a 2-part fate. Upon completion, you got some more quest dialogue and closed out the event. Along with the zany antics of the Go-Go Posing Rangers, 3 sets of emotes that allow you to emulate their iconic poses were up for grabs. But that was not all. A 5-piece gear set called the Legacy Warrior set was available, alongside a new housing item and the orchestrion role for the Moonfire Faire theme. This also marks the year that previous Moonfire event rewards would no longer be obtainable within the event itself. There is not too much to say about the 2017 Moonfire Faire as, aside from a different storyline, the activities were almost the same as the ones from the 2015 event. The only difference being that one of the repeatable quests, the one that had you complete a fate, was replaced by a non-combat option. However, one thing of note is that this was the first Moonfire Faire in the Stormblood expansion. The reason why that is significant is because it was the expansion that introduced swimming and diving to 14. As a result, a few new islands were added off the coast of Costa del Sol, one of which is named the North Isle of Endless Summer. Ever since, this island has been the venue for the Moonfire Faire. As an added bonus, there was also a random chance of a special fate involving a cameo appearance from Ultros, of Final Fantasy VI fame. There was no special reward for completing this fate beyond the dialogue from Ultros himself. The Moonfire Faire of 2017 gave us a set of beachwear, the Hyper Rainbow Z orchestrion roll, which was the theme song for the Go-Go Posing Rangers from 2016's event, and a pair of housing items. One was edible, the other was a wall-mounted poster featuring the art of the 2014 Moonfire Faire event post from the Lodestone. Stormblood was known for giving us more than just swimming and diving. It was also the expansion that gave us large-scale jump puzzles outside of the Gold Saucer. They are exactly as they sound, a vertical puzzle for players to challenge their jumping skills against. And Moonfire Faire 2018 centered the entire event and questline around one. Players were given a repeatable quest to complete the jump puzzle, which was separated into 3 parts, and completion would reward event tokens. Afterwards, you were introduced to an adventurer wannabe Makote, and shortly thereafter, the event questline comes to a close. Now there was in fact an extra 4th section to the jump puzzle that was much harder than the rest. It wasn't required to complete the event, and making it to the top only gave bragging rights and beautiful screenshot opportunities. The rewards of 2018 were the Splash emote, the Endless Summer set, and 2 new housing items, the Mosquito Moogle and the Edible Curry Plate. Now arriving in 2019, the Moonfire Faire brought with it the return of the jump puzzle from the previous year, albeit in a different configuration with only 2 sections to complete and the extra 3rd. The questline pitted you against the same upstart Makote you were introduced to in the previous year in a challenge to see who could collect 4 tokens first. The jump puzzle was one option, but if that was not your style, this year they also included the crafting and fishing options offered in previous years. Completing the dialogue after turning in the tokens brought this year's event to a close. The Fair of 2019 saw fit to grace us with more Eastern-styled summerwear. Interestingly enough, there were only pieces for the head, chest, and feet. No leg gear, which I always thought was kind of odd, but maybe that's just me. There was also a small selection of housing items, including another Moonfire poster, this one showing off the artwork from 2018. In the dread year 2020, the questline had players joining forces with an unlikely trio in an effort to drive away a giant shark. The shark itself was handled in a fate, however, it was done so by using actual dance actions to encourage and sustain a friendly bombered creature while it fought back against the shark. Completing the fate rewarded tokens, and after some more dialogue, the questline was completed. The rewards from 2020 started out pretty strong, with a new dance emote, the Flame Dance. We could also earn a full 5-piece set of gear, the Summer's Flame set. However, this time around, only one housing item was available, the Water Bomb Stand. Similar to the year before it, 2021's event questline involved taking on an ice-type bomb enemy in a Fate, garnering tokens upon completion. There wasn't any dancing this time though. A string of dialogue later and the event was complete. In a shocking turn of events, there was no gear or emote on offer. However, in its place, we were given a new mount instead, the polar bear mount. 3 new housing items were also made available. The 2 food-based items were, of course, edible as well. Finally, that brings us to the current year of 2022, and the Moonfire Faire is back in full swing. This year marks the second return of the jump puzzle, changed up once more. It even includes a new route that is less jumping and more bomb dodging. The questline follows the antics of the Makote from the past 2 iterations of the jump puzzle, coming to a conclusion shortly after you complete the puzzle yourself. This year, we were given another lovely 5-piece set of summer beachwear. On top of that, there was also the outdoor housing item, the Summer Bonfire, available for purchase. And with that, we have covered all of the Moonfire Faire events from 2013 through to the current year of 2022. If you were unable to attend any of the previous Moonfire Faire events and would like their associated rewards, they have been made available for purchase on the Final Fantasy XIV online store. And if you happen to be watching this video after this year's event has ended, just know that the trend we typically see with seasonal event rewards is that the current year's rewards will be added to the online store when the event returns the following year. For example, 2022's rewards will likely be made available when the Moonfire Faire returns in 2023. As an added bonus, the older items from the event that were already on the online store are typically discounted in a sale if you don't mind waiting a bit longer to save some money. Wow, that ended up being quite long, didn't it? But don't worry, we're almost done. Now, let's head on back and wrap things up. And that about sums it up for this episode of the Final Fantasy XIV Travelogue. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the history of the Moonfire Faire. I hope I was able to make it enjoyable to watch as well as informative. And with that, I think we can finally bring this video to an end. Please look forward to more in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hey, it's post-credits me. And wow. Yeah, this video was supposed to have been out a long time ago. Unfortunately, just as I was finishing up the primer video, I was slapped right in the face by COVID. It was like, nope, you are not doing this right now. So I just barely managed to put the finishing touches on that video while I could almost feel my condition declining in real time. It was just awful. And wouldn't you know it? This all started the day before patch 6.2. And by the time I was feeling well enough to get back to editing, having been put so far behind schedule absolutely killed my motivation. But if you're seeing this video, then obviously I got my act together. So that's a plus. Anyways, I just wanted to get all of that off my chest. I'm more or less doing fine again, and here's to getting back down to business. And with that, I hope to catch you all later. Bye for now.